In true home gym fashion, your home gym is never complete. So here we are again, having spent more money on another piece of equipment. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Titan Fitness Safety Squat Bar. In true Titan Fitness fashion, the packaging leaves a bit to be desired, and actually when I got it, there was one end of the bar sticking out of the box. So let's hope that this thing is intact with no damage. Moment of truth. Maybe not. Oh, the bottom of the box is taped to the bar. All right, here we go. Now the moment of truth. So we have the bar unboxed. So far we're looking like no damage to the bar. Let me check the end caps where the bar is sticking out of the box. So the bar seems to be intact with no damage to the end caps, no visible rust on the bar anywhere, and no damage to the upholstery, which is great because if you've been around the channel, you know that I have terrible luck with Titan Fitness, and it seems like everything that I've ever ordered from there has had something wrong with it. So to have something with nothing wrong with it come in, that is quite a surprise, and quite a pleasant surprise at that. So let's put the handles on. So you just slot those in there, thread those in. So I'm pleasantly surprised to have my first ever piece of Titan equipment that has had no problems whatsoever. So over the course of the next several days, we'll put some use in with this bar, and then I'll be back in the second half of the video with the final review. I've had a chance to get several squat sessions in with the Titan Fitness Safety Squat Bar version 2. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the build quality. As many of you know, Titan does import their bars from overseas, and as such, their welds aren't always the best. Typically, they're pretty poor quality welds, and with this bar, it is no exception. The welds actually aren't terrible. They're decent, I would say, but they're certainly not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. Now, in terms of the pad, which is an extremely important part of a safety squat bar, talking about the upholstery first, after having used it for several sessions, I've not had any issues with the upholstery. I did notice that there was one teeny tiny little fray where the Velcro meets the main part of the upholstery. It's not somewhere that's going to be a heavily abused area of the upholstery. It's not like it's right in the middle of the back pad or right in the middle of the shoulder pads or anything like that. So I don't think this is going to be an issue at all, and I don't think that it will ever continue to fray beyond the tiny amount that it's already frayed. So I don't think it's going to be an issue, but it was worth mentioning. And in terms of the upholstery in general, it's just going to be more of a long-term thing that you'll just have to see how it holds up over time, and we might come back with a future video, maybe a year down the road or something, to see how the upholstery has held up to dozens and dozens of leg sessions. Now, when it comes to the pad itself, which is one of the more important aspects of a safety squat bar, you want it to be firm enough that it's not letting the bar just sink down into your shoulders and dig down into your shoulders, but at the same time, you don't want it to be so firm and so stiff that the pad itself is painful sitting on top of your shoulders. And I feel like with the Titan Fitness Safety Squat Bar, they have found a pretty good middle ground here. I feel like it is firm enough that it doesn't let it dig in, but it's also not so firm that the pad itself is painful. Now, I have only had 315 on here, or 3 plates on each side on here. So if you go, 4 plates, 5 plates, 6 plates, maybe it starts to be a little bit, maybe it starts to be a little painful, but that's as much weight as I've had on here so far, and it's been a really good middle ground density for me and for the weight that I'm using. One thing that I'm not a huge fan of with this bar is the plastic end caps. Now, they're not bad by any means, and they get the job done, but as my own personal preference, I feel like no piece of workout equipment should ever have a plastic handle or a rubber handle. All handles should be knurled. For this particular application, it doesn't have to be a super aggressive knurling, or it doesn't even have to be that great of a knurling, but I do feel like it should be knurled versus having a plastic cap on there, because if you pull down on this hard enough, they will pop off. Now they're on here pretty snug, so you have to pull down pretty hard, and I don't know if anyone's actually gonna be doing that while doing a set. So I don't know that that's necessarily an issue. I don't foresee it being an issue, but it is something that I wanted to note because I feel like they could have just used knurled handles, but that's just my personal opinion. One quick note that I wanted to make in terms of the width of the bar is our rack, which is the Rogue RML3, it is pretty wide. I don't know that there's many racks that are gonna be wider than this one. This one is 49 inches from outside of the upright to outside of the other upright. But if your rack is wider than that, you might have an issue racking this bar. But for most racks, because like I said, I don't know if there's gonna be many racks wider than this one. For most racks, I wouldn't see an issue, but it would be worth measuring your rack before ordering this bar. When it comes to the price, there are two things to consider here. The price for the amount of versatility that you're getting out of this item, since with home gyms, versatility is the name of the game. And then also the price of this particular safety squat bar versus the price of other safety squat bars. The Titan Fitness Safety Squat Bar is $300 with free shipping, which is pretty much on the lowest end of the price spectrum when you're considering the more popular brands of fitness equipment out there. If you're gonna get anything cheaper than this, you're gonna be getting into something that's, you know, some no-name company that you find on eBay or something like that. So this is basically as cheap as you're going to get a quality safety squat bar. When it comes to the price, there are two things to consider. One, the amount that you're spending on the piece of equipment in relation to the amount of versatility that you're getting out of that piece of equipment, because when we're talking about home gyms, versatility is the name of the game, since you're typically working with a small space and you want to be able to maximize what you're getting out of that space and what you're getting out of that budget. And then two, the amount of this particular safety squat bar versus the cost of another safety squat bar. Getting into that versatility aspect first, realistically, you're gonna get 3 exercises out of a safety squat bar. You'll be able to do squats, of course, hence the name of the bar. You can do standing calf raises, and you can do good mornings. Front squats are an excellent exercise, but a lot of people are unable to do them due to the fact that it causes wrist pain or causes elbow pain in a lot of individuals. Safety squats do a really good job of replacing a front squat due to the fact that the weight sits out in front of you, so it does a good job of mimicking that front squat exercise. It puts a lot of emphasis on the quads and on the spinal erectors without having to put stress on the wrist and on the elbows. And the safety bar standing calf raise is one of the best calf exercises you can do in a home gym if you don't have a specialized calf machine. You could always do barbell calf raises, but the problem there is if you're standing up on a calf block and then you're also holding on to the barbell to hold it on your shoulders, then you don't have more hands available to hold on to something to balance you. So you're either gonna have to go lighter so that you can balance yourself, or you're gonna have to stand on the floor and not get a full range of motion so that that balance aspect isn't an issue. Whereas with the safety squat bar, you can load it up with weight, put it on your back. When you let go of it, because of the way the weight hangs out in front of you, a safety squat bar will stay on your shoulders without having to hold on to it. So your hands are then free to hold on to the squat rack to balance yourself while you're standing up on the calf block doing calf raises. So you can go heavy and get a full range of motion without having to worry about the balance aspect. And lastly, the good mornings are an exercise that I don't incorporate into my program very often, but it is an excellent exercise for the hamstrings and for the spinal erectors. And one of the issues with using a barbell is if you aren't really careful, you can let the barbell roll forward and go up onto your shoulders when you get to the bottom of that range of motion, especially if you have flexible hamstrings and the bottom of the range of motion is a lot flatter for you. And this, I find, does a better job of being able to keep it down onto your shoulders without it wanting to slide up if you're going down a little bit lower at the bottom of a good morning exercise. I know I've had negative things to say about Titan Fitness's quality in the past with different pieces of Titan equipment that I've owned, but this safety squat bar is definitely the best piece of Titan equipment that I have ever owned, without question, no comparison. And I've heard several other people say the same thing as well. So if you're questioning the quality of this bar, I would encourage you to just go ahead and pull the trigger. If you want to check out the Titan Safety Squat Bar V2, I'll have the link down in the description. And if you want to check out my product review playlist, you can click here. If you want to check out my DIY workout equipment playlist, you can click here. As always, God bless you and your family. We'll see you next week. No damage to the bar. The upholstery looks to be... Oh, Link. Just have to be noticed on camera.